I'm Danny Dyer. Playing hard men and acting tough has been my bread and butter. But now I've got a new role. I'm going to be tracking down some of the most feared men in the country on both sides of the law. I'm going to find out what makes them tick, how they got their fearsome reputations, and why they're considered some of Britain's deadliest men. Welcome to the East End, London town, home to pearly kings and queens and the beautiful art of boxing. I'm here to meet one of the most brutal fighters to have been born within the sound of the Bow Bells. Oh, fuck me. He's an old school brawler who gained notoriety for nutting Audley Harrison, the Olympic gold medal winner.
I don't care who you are, whether I hit you going over.
And he managed to fight off 3 geezers with an axe in his head. In his spare time, he was a renowned East End enforcer, sent to persuade people to pay up.
I bought to over like 250 grand in a plastic bag once, you know, in a black bin liner.
But his criminal career ultimately ruined his chances of becoming a boxing great, and his life spiralled out of control. I'm entering a world of ultra-violence to meet the notorious Dominic Negus. Dominic Negus is a man with a colourful past. He was a champion boxer, whilst at the same time working as a gangland enforcer and debt collector. A fighter as comfortable with a baseball bat as with his fists.
Dom's got a toe in both camps. He's a face, a proper person who can fight.
On the doors, his love of violence was noticed by the criminal kingpins, and he became the most respected debt collector and ruthless enforcer in the East End.
A lot of people, to be honest with you, you know what I mean? Normally every other day someone copped a right hand or something or other.
He was a boxer, a fighter in the pocket of the criminal bosses who made the transition from the ring to become the man sent in to smash heads.
If a guy, a connected man, a proper man, let's say a gangster of any low-level, mid-level, high-level, if he needs someone to do something for him, he will use a fighter. Boxers are used to getting here. So if someone needs something delivered, if someone needs something collected, and it might go a little bit tits up, it might go a little bit south, it might get a little bit tasty, it might get a little bit naughty, who would that guy prefer to be in charge of the handling or minding or watching the situation? It makes sense he'd like a fighter.
He was a contender who could have gone on to become a great, only for his life of crime to drag him down.
Dominic took his eye off the boxing because of some of the other activities he was getting involved with. Now, had he not done that, then he, without a doubt, would have been a proper contender.
I'm in the East End to meet the man who had the world at his feet, but lost it all, leaving his dream in tatters.
So this is Dominic's gym. Looks like something out of Snatch, I'll be straight with you. And now I've heard he's one of the top boys. He's one of the guys the top boys would ring if they wanted a bit of muscle. He's now a boxer, got a little gym. This is his manor. It's on my manor, actually. Let's go and have a pipe. So naughty dig. Good to meet you, son. Good to meet you. How are you? All right.
Fuck time.
Fuck, mate, it's a powerful dig you got there. What you got planned with today then, son?
Well, don't we have a little bit of a tour around. There's an old pub we used to hang about. I mean, obviously, I don't go out no more, you know what I mean? It's not so much for my health, but for other people's health, I don't. Yeah. To be honest, I used to turn up on the old, I used to have a booze. Yeah. But yeah, the sort of pub we used to hang about, we'll go down there, perhaps a few of the boys will be down there.
Okay.
Dom seemed like a level-headed guy, but it was unnerving to know that he could turn into an extremely violent man. As I was to learn later, a deadly man existed behind the smile. He could have been a contender, but it wasn't the power of his punch that let him down. He took steroids, which led him to be banned from the professional boxing game, and he became an underworld enforcer that nearly cost him his life.
So, Dominic Negus. Knew nothing about him before, I've got to say. Bit muggy, really, on my behalf, considering he's from my manor. What a punch this man's got. I mean, powerful. I mean, it was the gym was shaking, honestly. I mean, this man's a sportsman, you know. I mean, you can tell he's a true boxer, and it comes from the heart, you know. I'm just interested to hear his story, you know, and I'm sure this guy's got a lot to say.
I'm in Bethnal Green, London, with boxer and notorious gangland enforcer Dominic Negus, the man who ruled the East End debt collection world with an iron fist. He's fought over 60 bouts as an amateur and pro, winning 45 times. Born and bred in the heart of the East End, he's a Bethnal boy who grew up in an area known for its skilled pugilists. Dominic Negus was born in Bethnal Green, the heart of the East End. The east of London has always been in a struggle to break free from the grip of poverty. For young people growing up on these rough streets, fighting is often their only chance to escape to a better life.
Poverty has been rife. And if you're poor, you want to fight. I don't mean metaphorically, I mean literally. You want to fight. And that's why there's never been a shortage of young boys being led by their mums, dads, parents, grandparents, big brothers, big sisters through the doors at the boxing gyms in the East End. It's a combination of hunger and it's a combination of desire. They want to fight. It's that simple.
Dom grew up on these mean streets, but for the early years, he was on the wrong end of the punches. He brought me back to his old school to tell me about how the bullied kid turned into the bully.
So what sort of character was you in school then? Was you a lump in school or what?
No, I take at school. I was a tubby little kid with glasses and curly hair and got the shit kicked out of me and like you're doing it to finish and become a bit of a worm at turn, haven't you?
But it all changed for Dom when he entered a boxing gym. He realised he could fight back against the bullies and got his first taste for violence.
It was ironic, really, because I knew him as a little kid. He was quite a little chubby little thing with little round glasses, and all of a sudden he used to put himself on offer. He used to go down all the gyms and spar with anybody, and that's what's made him the fighter he is. He's got a big heart.
Dom had realised that he didn't just have to take the punches, he could dish them out, and he was starting to enjoy it.
So, at what point in your life do you realise you could throw a punch?
11 years old, got a right good hiding once, and I was 19 when I got my own back over on that estate, you know what I mean? And I remember getting in the lift with a fella, and he didn't recognise me, because, you know, I did. I had a boot print on my head for about a week, Reebok boot print, but...
Oh, what, so these kids, he's bashed you up, right?
Yeah, no,
he's forgot all about it.
Yeah, but I did, and so I just knocked him straight out, and he's going, you know, but,
Knowing that he could handle himself, he got a job where he could satisfy his newfound taste for violence.
I started doing a bit of door work when I was 19, and where I got bullied, I didn't become a bully in the end. I was knocking out people every other day. I'd have a stand up with anybody, you know. I wouldn't give a fuck if you're Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, mate. If I punch you in the chin, you're going for a kip.
Yeah.
So, you know, you go Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
After years of being bullied, he was finally getting the respect he craved.
I loved the reputation. He was like the fact you go to nightclubs, never had to pay for nothing, all of a sudden everyone's
Everyone's
you twist like you go Marbella, all the boys will be out there, come on, go, they really like you.
Yeah.
They just think, well, keep him out, because if he gets on the booze, he'll turn and end up throwing us over the balcony.
Yeah.
You know, but to be honest with you, Dan, I just so wanted, where I suffer from being a kid, like the fat kid that got bullied, I so wanted the reputation, if you know what I mean. I was so striving to be a part of something that I did the most stupidest things just to get a rep. And to be honest, it took me, you know, I'm 38 now, it took me 30 odd years to get a reputation. It's going to take me another 40 years to lose it.
I was starting to learn more about Dom and his addiction to violence. On the surface, he seemed like a nice guy, but he had a violent side. I didn't fancy seeing it. He began to make a name for himself as a young boxer with a hot head. His quick temper became a feature of his doorman career. When the red mist came down, anything could happen.
Sometimes I wanted to come to work because you'd have the ump and you wanted to take it out on people. Dusters, hammers, that your bats, get that across your head.
Dom enjoyed the boxing, but at heart, he was a street fighter, and on the doors he could vent his rage. One night when two people took advantage, he dealt with them in his own special way.
We've had a bit of a scrap, not a scrap, but a bit of a bundle. And as we've gone over on the floor, because I've got the geezer like that and I wouldn't let him go, and of course the other geezer started kicking at me, so all I did was bit the geezer's cheek. You know what I mean? I just, you know, and of course he got up, he's run off screaming, and I had this bit of, like, a bit of thing in my mouth, you know what I mean? It wasn't very nice. It looks realistic, don't it?
While he was wreaking havoc on the doors, his boxing career was taking off. He got offered a professional contract and a chance to fight at the spiritual home of British boxing, the legendary York Hall.
The beautiful York Hall, look at this. What a gaff this is, mate.
York Hall, in my opinion, is the most famous boxing venue in Great Britain. So that makes it the most famous boxing venue in Europe. And I think the only place that can compete with it for name is Madison Square Garden in New York.
York Hall in Bethnal Green has always been the iconic location for British boxing. Fighters including Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, Lennox Lewis and Frank Bruno all boxed here. This is where Dom had his first pro fight, going on to box here 6 times, winning 4 by way of knockout. It was here he made his name as an East End boxing great, eventually becoming a title contender.
What would you say York Hall means to boxing?
Well, it's like it seemed like the mecca of boxing, wasn't it? I mean, all the top boys have boxed here. When you come out and walk through, and of course your music goes off, and the place goes absolutely potty. I normally get there, I've got a big smile on my face, because once that bell rings, and it's just down to business. I mean, I just love fighting, you know. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I'm good at it.
Dominic dazzled the East End boxing fans with his brutal displays of the art. He won his first 7 professional fights, but soon caught the eye of shadier fight fans for whom violence was more than a sport.
Boxing has always attracted underworld figures to the ring. The notorious Craze were big fans of the game after being dragged to the gym by their mum when they were unruly teenagers. It was logical that when they needed a bit of help running their criminal empire, they called on fighters to do their dirty work.
An awful lot of fighters end up working on doors. And from working on doors, you end up running errands, you end up doing all sorts of stuff.
With boxing, you're always going to have the skullduggery around it. It was always like there's the shady characters in dark glasses, and it's like the gangster world, ain't it? People that come to you, oh, do you know so-and-so, so-and-so, and then introduce it, and you have all these different connections. You know what I mean? But as you said, it always seemed to stem around the East End.
Crime bosses began to take an interest in Dom. It wasn't long before he took up his 3rd career, only this time it was on the wrong side of the law. His other jobs as a boxer and doorman weren't paying enough, and the law of easy money tempted him to become a gangland enforcer.
And it was such an easy transition. As soon as I got into the boxing and doing the door work, then everything else started coming. It was just, you know, just all spiraled into it.
In between working on the doors and training for his pro fights, he began to collect debts owed to crime bosses. For Dominic, it was an opportunity to make a pound note and to indulge his vicious side.
You know, I was willing to do anything. You know, I'll take on the crappiest jobs you can imagine, going to, you know, get money off of scumbags, because I was so eager to prove myself. And you were willing to go into battle and put yourself on the line because you wanted this reputation.
This was clearly a major step for Dom to take, from a legit boxer on the verge of greatness to becoming an underworld figure. I wanted to find out what it took to become a gangland enforcer, so I agreed to meet some of his old crew down at his local.
So, coming to meet Dom, his local boozer, come to meet a few of his pals from the old school. Pals he used to run about, do a bit of debt collecting with. I've got no idea about them, but I know they're obviously going to be big lumps, you know what I mean? Now, you know, I've got a bit of dough around me, I'm going to get around in. I don't want them to think I'm a lunch. But the pub had to be called the Gun Makers, didn't it? Hello, sweetheart, how are you, mate?
Fine, thank you.
Can I get a nice little, I might have a little pint of Stella, as it happens. You know Dominic Negus?
Yeah.
And, yeah. So this is his local boozer, is it?
Yeah, drinks in here frequently.
Yeah? He don't start no trouble in here, does he?
Never starts any trouble in here, but obviously I know him from old.
Yeah.
So,
oh, OK, I've known
know what
for
he's
years.
about. Been there, seen it,
Yeah.
seen him in action.
What do I owe you for that, sweetheart? This way you walk. Can I get you a drink?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Because if it does go off, I was wondering maybe you could
That'll
back
be
me up.
£3.
If you know, maybe you back me up and stick the boot in if it kicks off. I still have a mouthful of my Uri Geller. Sit and wait. Thought I was going to down that then, didn't ya? You think I'm a pisshead? Oh, here we go.
Hey,
get on this mob here. How are you?
This is Jim.
Good to meet you.
This is John. Danny.
Good to meet you, John. Oh, okay.
Good to see you.
That's a proper little mob, that one. Let's get it along. Boss, I think we'll have a little game of Paul or something. Yeah, I'll ask you a few questions. Yeah, we'll keep it nice and sweet. Oh, what's it, Nick? I'll whack the Nick in. I've
got the keys to that. All expenses paid.
All right, boys, so one was Dom. Was he an important part of the team then, or what?
Yeah, he was the main player, really. He's like, you know, we were like his soldiers, you know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the main man. But only, you know, people just had to pay whatever they owed, do you know what I mean? They got rough, we got rough with it.
How much was, you know, violence, you know, part of the job?
Mainly we go around and just like be civil with you and say like, you know, you owe this debt, you got to pay it, and that was it. If you didn't pay it and you got salsa, you got a right hander. End of the matter, isn't it?
Funny, Jim, your right hand is bloody hell. Must let my mum whack you.
I don't find it hard to believe, to be fair. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the first debt you collected.
I do remember one of the jobs, well, one of the first ones, it got a bit messy, because I didn't really know how to play the part, if you know what I mean. It was, as far as I'm concerned, we knocked on the door, and all I did, as soon as you knocked on the door, I whacked the geezer. And then my mate straight away goes, but give me due, he paid the money straight away. My mate was giving his nut, he was going, fucking hell, Dom's a bit strong.
So as soon as that door was open...
I just cracked him, boom, right hander, and that was it. And to be honest, hopefully you see earlier, I ain't got a bad right hand on me, you know what I mean? So...
No, I was going to say... What would you say was your biggest amount of dough you collected?
Well, I mean, I walked away with people like 250 grand in a plastic bag once. You know, in a black bin liner. I mean, you know, I don't know how much you get with your film rolls, mate. I mean, but I'm telling you something.
But I'm sure you know, 250 fucking grand.
Not yet, anyway.
No, you're fucking living up,
But the crew's debt collecting soon caught the attention of the old Bill, and Dom's Lieutenant Jimmy got busted.
Got to go. Tell me a little bit about, you know, you got nicked, done a bit of bird over it. I mean, what happened there?
Well, I went round someone's house, a couple of brothers' houses in there, and they owed my pal a bit of money. Yeah. So he said to me, you go and collect the debt. He said, and you get half of the money. So I went round there with one of my pals, and...
What a bit of dough was it, or?
30 grand it was. Started walking up the road all of a sudden, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Police cars everywhere, machine guns and everything, the old Bill. Anyway, nicked me, handcuffed me, and nicked me for demanding money with menaces, and they give me 14 years. If I was a nonce, I'll fucking get 2 months.
That's what I'm saying,
you know what I mean? There's no justice. There's no justice.
Squawk up here a little bit. So, I mean, what, you know, listen, I've got to say, lovely fellas, first off, lovely fellas, but I'll tell you something now. If I owed someone money and them three come knocking on my door, I mean, I'd pay up. I'd do whatever they wanted, mate. Powerful little mob, that. Very powerful mob.
I'm in London with East End enforcer Dominic Negus. He told me how he went from being a bullied kid to a pro fighter.
I'd ever stand up with anybody, you know, I wouldn't give a fuck if you're Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, mate. If I punch you in the chin, you're going to a kip.
And he'd introduced me to his debt collecting mob.
If I owed someone money and them three come knocking on my door, I mean, I'd pay up. I'd do whatever they wanted.
Dom and the crew kindly offered to show me what it was like to be on the wrong end of a debt collection. Being game, I offered myself up to play the role of the man who owed the cash. I was just hoping they wouldn't get carried away.
So, Dom and the boys, they're going to show me a bit how this debt collecting thing works. A bit of role play for a start, you know, so it's just a bit of role play. Don't take it too seriously at home, all right? Now, I owe them 20 grand, we're saying. They're going to knock on my door, they're going to go through the motions.
We used to be so blinkered about things because that's what we did, you know what I mean? We were debt collectors, but also, we would say debt collectors, you know what we were? We were more negotiators, you know, hard, iron fist negotiators.
I'm not sure this is how the Halifax would have dealt with it, all right? Sort his mugs out.
You Danny?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, mate, you all right? Mind if we come in?
Yeah, all right, no, come in, yeah, no problem, yeah.
Saying some horrible things I wouldn't even want to, I'm not going to talk about. And I used to get a kick out of it because I was bloody good at it, because I was so blinkered about things, I wouldn't give a toss, you know what I mean? People getting cut and things like that, and I wouldn't give a monkeys, you know what I mean? Because that's how it was, you know, people getting their heads kicked in and, you know, people getting knocked out, and it was just every day. It become every day, it's such an everyday occurrence, it was just the norm.
What's that? Hold up a minute, mate, hold up a minute. Hold up.
Joe sent us round.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm
20 grand for the murk.
The crew used to collect money on behalf of the crime bosses from people who couldn't go to the banks or the police.
All right, well,
Get ready and we're going.
Yeah, we come with you.
Whether it was for a car or a drug deal, as soon as the debt needed repaying, they were sent in.
Either give us the fucking money, or we can go the other route, you know what I mean?
well, I've got it, but I've got to do a bit of running about to sort it out.
I was experiencing what it was like to feel the threat. And what I was hearing weren't pretty. I just wanted it to be over before I knocked them all spark out.
Sometimes how you do it, the thought of the violence is much more intimidating than the actual violence. If I went bang and whacked you on the chin, it don't really hurt that much until you wake up, then actually the thought of it, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's a mind game.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah, cool.
that what you're threatening.
Of course I weren't in any danger. But in the role play, they revealed a little of their techniques.
Is you knock on the door, you know what motor they've got, because you've got a bit of info, and say,
Twanged your
sorry
car.
mate, I'll just hit your motor outside. First thing he wants to do, get outside, see what you've done to his motor. As soon as he's outside, see what you've done.
For Dom and the crew, working as debt collectors meant that they were operating outside the law.
Who's allowed to hit anybody? Nobody.
No.
But it depends. But then listen, if you owe money for something dodgy, then how can you go to the old bill? No, you can't play both sides, can you? If it's, again, drugs were never my game, but I can't say I never collected money for. I've, done the odd thing, but at the end of the day, you just got to go and pick it up, and that's what it is. It's no man's land, ain't it?
The men they collected debts from couldn't call the police. They had to suffer the consequences like beatings and stabbings. Dom knew that he was creating a lot of enemies, who one day might come back to haunt him. This was no man's land. Dom was also keen for me to see him in action in the ring. This time, I figured if it was one-on-one, I might have a chance.
So Dom's invited me back to the gym. He fancies his chances in the ring with me. I don't want to mug him off. What he don't know is that I'm Danny the Dark Destroyer Dyer. Right? And I think he's in for a bit of a surprise.
Hey, up there.
Dominic Negus, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, son?
Good, mate. Okay, mate.
Sweet as, son. Sweet
Gonna have a-
as. I've got a few digs at you, I think.
You've got to take it easy.
Yeah,
you know?
you've been getting a bit leery lately, so...
I've got some nice gloves for you, mate. You know, mate.
No, I thought they'd go with a smother.
No, it's all right. Beat
Dom
Maris.
didn't fancy a
What's
proper
that?
sparring session
he's
with me,
in. Oh, he's
but he
in.
agreed to let me
He's
throw a
in.
few punches at him.
Feel what you've got, Dan. See what you do.
See what he's about, that's it.
Bum. Ain't too bad, Dan.
Cheers, good man. Lovely.
Go on, sit with that.
Clearly I was a different class. Me movement, me air, me smell, but me fitness needed a bit of work.
You're getting a sweat up, mate. Is that in the contract?
No, that's it, fuck. I'm earning me dough on this one. I'm fucking earning me dough.
Bum. Yeah. Oh, that was going.
I felt it was only proper to repay the favour.
Right, let's have a swap over there.
Go on, then,
Right,
yeah,
you're
go on.
gonna fucking beat the out of me now over the fucking ring.
And I also wanted to feel the power of these infamous Negus right-handers.
Let's just feel the false. I've got to feel the false, haven't I, really? Let me feel a quart with the false. That's it. Oh, fuck me. That's it. Well, I felt that wind then going right across my boat.
Even at a quarter power, Dom was hitting me like a train, so I was pleased to hear the bell and get out there with my arms still attached to my body.
Fuck it, hell. That's nothing, that. Well in for that, son. I felt a bit of the power there. Right, I'm ready now to go and have it up with people. Joking.
He was obviously still a very powerful machine, but back in August 2002, he was at his peak and he'd hit the big time. Having won 4 consecutive fights at cruiserweight, he stepped up to heavyweight for the biggest fight of his life against Audley Harrison, the great British hope of boxing and Olympic gold medal winner. Behind the scenes, Dom was still heavily involved working as an enforcer, but this was the biggest fight of his career, live on the BBC.
This fighting paper was supposed to be the biggest fight of my life. It's supposed to be the stepping stone onto better things, because I was certain I was going to win.
I'm not coming to this fight thinking it's going to be easy, you know what I mean? But it's going to be an hard fight, it's going to be a hard fight for both of us. And as Audley was saying, I'm expecting to come out victorious.
But Audley wasn't impressed with Dom.
Got a title, he's WBU, one of them titles, Super Cruiserweight Champion. He's been around.
He was the underdog, expected to take a fall, but that was far from his mind.
What did you say to Uncle you a fall guy?
I'm sorry, you have somebody see, mate. Bang, yeah, I'll see you later.
On the night at Wembley Arena, Dom entered the ring full of confidence. But as the fight entered the 4th round, he slipped and he went down on one knee.
I'm half down, and if you see next minute, he just walks off like this and walks straight back and...
Audley had won the first 3 rounds, but then he hit Dom when he was down.
Audley did something stupid. He tried to mock him in front of millions watching on BBC and a couple of thousand in the arena. Instead of Audley just sticking to the boxing, outboxing Dom, smothering Dom and winning on points, he tried to laugh and be cocky.
At the peak of his career, in front of the watching millions, Dom snapped and the rage took over.
He's, so smarmy. Like, he would say, well, come on then. I said, well, come on then. So I spat my gum shield out and nutted him. And that was, to be honest, the only bruise I had was nutting him, you know.
Dom steams in, tries to bite him, tries to butt him, pushes him over. All he didn't do was kick him.
Dom narrowly avoided disqualification, and Audley went on to win the fight on points. But after the fight, the talk wasn't only about the headbutt. In an after-fight drugs test, Dom had tested positive for a banned steroid.
I cheated, to be honest. They expected me coming at 14, 15 stone. I had a little bit of help and walked in at 17 stone and looked like bleeding Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Dom was subsequently banned from the pro fight game, dashing his hopes of becoming a champion. But it wasn't only the steroids that led to his downfall. It was also his parallel career as a gangland enforcer.
And was you involved with a bit of crime with the other thing at the time? So
If I'm being honest with you, if I was as focused as I am now on the sport, things would have been different, you know what I mean? But I was so busy wrapped up with other things that,
His training had suffered because of his criminal career, and he felt he needed to cheat to catch up.
Had he not got involved with all sorts of stuff away from the ring, then he, without a doubt, would have been a proper contender.
Having ruined his chances in the pro game, Dom threw himself into his career as a gangland enforcer. The training sessions became less frequent, and the iron fist enforcing became his #1 priority. But Dom's violent attitude started to piss a lot of people off, and they decided that he needed to be taken out. In April 2004, an incident in a cramped changing room in a 5-star gym in Harold Hill went on to change his life forever. Dom's returning for the first time since he was nearly killed to talk me through exactly what happened.
Oh, small in here, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it was a bit cramped that night, I've got to be honest with you.
After a heavy session on the pads, Dom returned to the changing room. What he didn't know was that 3 men armed with a baseball bat, a gun and an axe had entered the gym looking for him.
Door kicked open, shouting, screaming, Dominic, ah! And I fucking turned around like that, and I'm basically standing where you are. There's a big lump there, and the geezer about my stamp, and a little fella. And the little fella's also pulled out his, pulled a gun out, it's gone like that, and the first thing I went like that, I thought, what are you going to do with that?
But with his back turned, the geezer with the axe planted it in the middle of his head.
But next to me, I'm on the floor, and I thought, fuck me, he's like the old slipped on the soap trick, you know, and on my arse, I thought, fuck. And I didn't realise what had gone on, I thought it was fucking raining, but it weren't raining, it was blood pissing out my head. And as I looked up, the geezer's got like an axe thing. So he's obviously done me in a canister with the axe.
Dom was down with blood pouring out of his head and an axe man hovering over him. But all he could think about was his reputation.
I think, fucking hell, he's supposed to be naughty on your arse. As I went to get up, as I gone like, he's trying to do me again, and so it got stuck in my hand. I thought, shit, I'm in trouble here.
With the axe raining down on him, Dom began to fight back.
As he tried to do me again, I got hold of the axe, and the blade's there like that. I got hold of the big lump, and I'm not basically wrestling him against the wall, not smashing his head against the wall. And the geezer started whacking me with a bat. I've taken a bat off of him. The funny thing was I couldn't hold the bat at first, and I didn't realise so afterwards all my hands were all fucked up.
Having taken care of the axe man and wrestled the bat away from the other attacker, Dom had turned the tide.
And the next minute they've all looked at me and we were fucking state. The next minute they've all basically bolted.
Having fought off 3 armed attackers, Dom was left with a fractured skull and over 60 stitches in his head, arm and hand. Dom wouldn't tell me who he thought the attackers were for fear of reprisals.
So, Dom, I mean, you think, right, you've been naughty in the past, you've upset a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
But you can't obviously pinpoint it to a certain thing, but...
Well, listen, Dan, if I'm being honest with you, mate, I mean, you led that life, and if I'm being deadly honest, I deserved it, mate. I mean, the 3 fellas, I know you keep going, them 3 fellas I am such a big debt to, because they just made me realise, A, what a fucking arsehole I've become, but B, that weren't a life for me.
So this was basically, it was this attack that made you start thinking about things and why you changed your life?
Near that day, I thought, nah, time to get out now. You know, I mean, I've just been very lucky. You know, it could have been a lot worse for me.
After the attack, he saw how his horrific injuries affected his wife, Nick.
The biggest life-changing thing for me, right, you know, that was a massive part, but seeing how scared Nick was. And do you know what? I take me off to the eye and that girl so much more than she'll ever realise, and it does makes me want to cry now, because she never fucking moved, Dan, I promise you, mate. But to see how fine she was, and then so I thought, this has got to stop. Yes. And then from that day, I thought, bang, that was it.
Well, I've got to say, fascinating story. You know, when you're standing there with 3 geezers, one with a gun, a baseball bat, an axe, and they're coming towards you, I think 99% of men would melt, you know what I mean? It's like this very small percentage of men that are going to stand up and they're going to deal with it, and they're going to deal with that situation after having an axe put in your nut. Big moment in his life, turning point for him. It's nice to see that side to him where, you know, he was getting a bit choked up, and I know he's quite an emotional person, you know. And it's good to see that side to him, you know.
While his family gathered round him in hospital, he realised just how important they were. He had narrowly escaped being killed. It had taken an axe to his head to make him realise he'd hit rock bottom and that he needed to change. He immediately brought an end to his life of crime, something that had cost him his pro boxing career and a shot at the big time and nearly his life. For Dom, renouncing his role as a gangland enforcer, the reputation and the violence was an easy decision to make. But being a fighter was in his heart, so it didn't surprise me he'd found something else to channel the rage inside. Banned from the professional fight game, he's turned to the world of unlicensed boxing to ply his trade. Unlicensed boxing is a mishmash of styles and levels.
The unlicensed game falls into several categories. You've got the unlicensed straighteners that take place in fields or in the backs of pubs, and they're fairly brutal, they're fairly nasty. Then you've got the very organised unlicensed business. And what you have in the ring then is you have fighters that have been banned from boxing under British Boxing Board of Control licence, thus the expression unlicensed.
At the more brutal end is a no-holds-barred battle where knees, elbows and headbutts aren't uncommon. It's not unknown for the boxers to take on the challenge of someone ringside if their opponent don't show up.
I love going to unlicensed fights. It's fantastic. It's like stepping onto the set of a really bad British gangster movie, and then a bit of action takes place in the ring. What more do you want from a night?
I know I'd rather see this on my box than another boring 12-rounder down the points. I was interested to find out the standard Dom still boxes at and how different it is to the pro game. So I agreed to meet him and go to an unlicensed boxing night. Dominic Negus was a notorious gangland enforcer and boxer who had the world at his feet. He indulged in a life of crime alongside a successful boxing career that saw him come up against Audley Harrison at Wembley Arena. But ultimately, this dual life led to his downfall. He was banned from the pro game and nearly killed in a vicious axe attack. Now, he plies his trade with the IBA, who are the best of the country's many unlicensed boxing associations. They draw true boxers to their events, rather than the brawlers seen elsewhere. Dom wasn't fighting tonight. He was on a scouting mission, as his next opponent was on the bill.
Right, so I'm at the Circus Tavern, coming to watch a bit of unlicensed boxing. Coming to meet Dominic. We're going to watch a bit of Dan Downer, which is his next opponent. I've been to a few of these dudes before. It's a mad gaff, this Circus Tavern. I'll tell you, it gets a mad clientele, you know, full of canning towners, all jumping about like lunatics. Should be a good night, though. Dominic Negus. Come here.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, got his son. Let's get in here lively. Come on.
It was good to see the big man again. I could hear the crowd from outside, so I was keen to get in and taste the action.
Lead the way then, Dom. I got a clue where I'm going.
Every Friday night, 3,000 rowdy fight fans gather to cheer on the fighters turning the Circus Tavern into a gladiatorial arena. Dom's their prize fighter and former world champion, so he had a bit of clout. I could smell a heady mixture of Old Spice and sweat as we walked through into the VIP stage and took our places amongst some top boys, including former bare-knuckle boxing champion Roy Pretty Boy Shaw.
Fucking hell, boy.
It was an impressive night. The ring's smaller than the programme, which means it's harder for the fighters to hide, and you see a lot more action.
What's it, Gal? He fucking knocked him out in a minute. Oh, look, he's fucking...
This was show business with blood. The atmosphere was electric, and even the kids were enjoying it. Dom's next fight was for the IBA World Championship against Danny Downer, who was on the bill tonight. He led me backstage for a quick chat with a man who was prepared to face the infamous Dominic Negus.
Good to meet you, mate. Pleasure. Now, I didn't realise how pally you was. It's nice, isn't it? Nice.
We're actually a really good race.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's a class fighter.
All right, okay.
It's a fight born out of respect, you know.
Right.
I've always had a lot of respect for Dom, and he's been there and he's done it.
Yeah.
And to fight him, I would consider to be a true test of my ability.
Okay, so is this the toughest part of standing in here, or I mean, you just can't wait to get in the ring now? Is that that feeling?
Yeah, we're ready to go now.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
No, bang on any Grover.
Yeah, he's the man, if you like, aren't he?
Dan was a nice bloke, and it was good to see him getting on. But I couldn't help but think this was a long way away from Audley Harrison at Wembley Arena.
Please welcome from Marlow,
As Dan was announced and walked to the ring, Dom's attention was distracted.
Things like that, you know what I mean? So I was just earning, straight money.
Yeah, fucking that's hard though.
Tell me about it. Oh, I can't afford to get banged up now.
For a man who was once so embedded in the criminal underworld, escaping that life was always going to be difficult. And I just hoped that the law of the easy money wouldn't lead him down that path again.
Basically, you know what I mean? So, fucking easy earning a dodgy pan note, ain't it? You know what I mean? So,
Your winner, Dan Downer.
It was time to go. Dan Downer had won, and for Dom, there were too many reminders of the life he'd left behind. Having led the life Dom had lived, it wasn't surprising that he would be constantly reminded of his vicious past. I wanted to meet up with him for the last time, to find out whether he could really turn his back on his old life and the law of easy money, and what the future held for this former gangland enforcer.
What, so Dom? I mean, how hard is it not to slip back into your old ways? I mean, did you struggle with that a lot, or?
yeah, of course. I mean, listen, it's like money-wise, it's very hard. I mean, because obviously people are so quick to dangle carrots in front of you. There's always a few quid to be earned, you know, getting money back off of people. I mean, but the way my life is at the moment, I wouldn't want to change it for anything. You know what I mean? I've got my family now, and where before you just go and whack someone, I think, oh, if that happens, I'm gonna get in trouble. You know, I won't be able to see my little girl, and that's my biggest drive for me at the moment.
Dom had got out of the crime business for the right reasons. But I wondered, if he hadn't been a gangland enforcer, whether his life would have turned out differently.
So, I mean, how far do you think you could have gone in boxing if you'd have stayed away from the other bit of work and you'd have just, lived and breathed it every single day, as you know what the discipline is? I mean, how far do you feel you could have gone?
And I mean it. I mean, I really think I could have gone all the way in the pro ranks. I mean, I've only got myself to blame for that, but it's no good me looking back, because I've got a future to think of now.
So what does the future hold for you then, Dom?
It's day at a time, really. You know, all I want to be able to do is like be able to earn a straight bit of money, like I'm doing, have a mortgage and have an house, and let the kids be proud of me.
I believe that he could have got on to become a great in the boxing world if he hadn't have got involved so heavily as a gangland enforcer. I was pleased he'd seen the light and was now living straight for his family. Hopefully, in the future, he won't slip back into a criminal career that very nearly cost him his life.